You all right, kids? Buongiorno, buongiorno. Buongiorno, buongiorno. Just make sure that everything is working okay, which I'm hoping that it is. For once. I think we're all right. Let's just double check some bits. Make sure we're all right. Okay, it's not public, that's why. Right, fingers crossed it'll be working now. I did it on private. Silly sausage. He's a silly sausage. You silly sausage. Fingers crossed it should be working now. Let's have a little look on the channels. And we should be okay. That one's on. Yeah, that's good. And let's just check the other one. And this should be okay. Hello. No, both are on now. Yeah, they're both working. Fantastic. We'll just move that there. Yeah, you are early, Scotland. I'm late. Not as in late as in I'm pregnant, although with my long hair I could be. Hi, boys. Right. Let me just sort something out. Let's get this show on the road. Let me just sort the lights. Please come on. Thank you. Let's get these on. Fingers crossed it's going to work. Just say yes, it's going to work. Right, it has worked. Flipping heck. We good? Right. So, why am I late? I know, it's part of the plan. It's part of what we do. It's not, is it? Yeah, thanks, Ben. If you want the truth, I can tell you the truth. I can make you an elaborate story, or I can just tell you the truth. And the truth you won't believe anyway. So I'll just tell you. Believe it or not, today I was playing a game on the PC called Ark Raiders. I know that's hard to believe because I'm not a gamer. However, it got to about 4 o'clock and I thought, I should have some food. And I had some food. I didn't have much. What did I have? I had peri chicken. I made peri chicken like strips in breadcrumbs in a roll. So I had like 3 strips, I got a chicken fillet and made them into peri chicken into a thing in like a roll, a baguette thing. I had that. And I thought, you know what? I really enjoyed that. And I did. I really enjoyed that. Now, the thing is, after having a bit of food, sometimes you feel a bit bloated and you think, oh, I'm a bit full up. Oh, we're going to be getting onto all of that, Red. All the news. Don't worry. I'm just sort of getting myself in there, you know. And then, you know me, the sofa behind. I like a little afternoon nap. So I thought I'll put me down. I'm not really going to go to sleep. It's like 4:30 now. Did you have a disco nap? I did, mate. Yeah. And what you won't believe is what I listen to, because you know me, I like all kinds of music. Sometimes I could be listening to a bit of Tchaikovsky, or I might be listening to music like albums, soundtracks. Like I love, quick one for you. If you've never listened to I'll just give you three. I know I've said one of them all the time. The regulars will know. Philip Glass, the Candyman soundtrack, absolutely magnificent. Interstellar by Hans Zimmer. But I didn't have any of those on. I'm just mentioning what I'd normally listen to. And I thought, well, I'm going to go to my playlist, because I've got a playlist on YouTube of music videos that I just have on, like my chill out, my sleep thing. And believe it or not, it's Japanese music, and it's cover songs of classic 80s records. So it might be Careless Whisper by George Michael, but it's by some random woman in Japan that done a version at the same time. Or it'll be the Pet Shop Boys, Love Comes Quickly, which is a great record. Then it's a random Japanese girl or Korean girl singing a version in 1985, 86. And I have that on, and it helps me chill out. Ben is saying yawn. Well, if you're a bit tired, mate, have a bit of a nap. I know at your age, sometimes, you know, in the afternoon, men your age do need a nap. So, not me, not me. Right. So let's get into it, boys and girls. Let's get into a bit of the action, as they say. First up, we're going to get into this news about the Defence Secretary resigning after the PMQs yesterday, where they, or Starmer, said they're not going to be giving more money to the defence. Mishima, Scotland, you little animal, you. That is one heck of an album. And the theme song of Mishima was actually used in Thingy, wasn't it, as well? It was used in, what's that other movie with Jim Carrey? Jim Carrey. The theme song from Mishima was in the one where he's trapped in the TV program, where he escapes at the end. The song's used then. That's the same theme song from Mishima. Anyway, so I'll be asleep in a minute, that's for certain. Well, Ben, now you know what it's like when I have to play with you. It's tiring, Ben. It is tiring. Right, let's get us up and running. We're going to get into this. As I say, the Defence Secretary has resigned after yesterday's PMQs, where they said, or Labour said, they don't need to give any money just yet, and everything's going to be fine, and everything's okay. Clearly, it wasn't. So we're going to find out exactly what happened today, and then we'll get into other news and whatever you lot want to cover. So, hello, Jane. How you doing? Hello, MSS. Hello, Nikki, you gorgeous woman. Ben, you can kiss me arse. But everyone else, let's get into it.
Today, we've just had reaction from the leader of the Conservative Party, Kemi Badenoch, following the former Defence Secretary John Healey's resignation. Let's listen in.
Kemi Badenoch, John Healey has resigned. Are you surprised?
I am not surprised. John Healey has done the honourable thing. Yesterday, I raised the issue of the Defence Investment Plan, and the Prime Minister exposed the fact that he was not going to put money into defence to the amount that was required. And I'm sure John Healey sat there listening to the Prime Minister tell me that he was increasing defence funding when he is not. He has done the honourable thing and resigned. I am glad that he agrees with me that we need to put more money into defence, but what is shocking is what he's written in his letter, where he says that the Prime Minister is making the country less safe and putting our troops at risk at a time of increasing threats.
Well, now that she's just mentioned a letter from John Healey, I wonder if that letter is on social media. Let's see if that's been posted. John Healey. Whoa, John. his letter to the Prime Minister. Right, let's read it, shall we? Again, this is the Defence Secretary. Oh my God, text is a bit small, isn't it? That's what she said. Right. This is a letter that I never expected to write. And I do so now with great regret and reluctance. I am proud of what we have done in less than 2 years as a Labour government. We've stepped up to lead internet. Jesus, that is so small. That's what she said. I know, but it's so, and I can't make the text bigger. It makes everything else bigger. I don't want that. One moment. There we go. There we go. Is that better? All right, here we go. This is a letter I never expected to write, and I do so now with great regret and reluctance. I am proud of what we have done in less than 2 years as a Labour government. We've stepped up to lead internationally for Ukraine with the coalition of the Willing and Ukraine Defence Contact Group, established Britain as a leading voice in Europe and NATO, raised defence investment to 2.5% GDP 3 years earlier than anyone expected, launched the deepest defence reforms in 50 years, won the biggest UK defence export deals for decades, published a first of its kind strategic defence review, gave our armed forces the biggest pay rise in nearly 20 years, boosted military morale, fixed over 1,200 of the worst forces, family homes, reset relations with European allies, and signed major defence agreements with Germany, Norway, and France. You have led this as PM, earning wide respect at home and abroad. Like me, I know you're exceptionally proud of our forces and all of those who work in the UK defence. We came into government recognising Britain faced a new era of threat which demanded a new era of defence. The SDR we jointly commissioned to set the 10-year vision to transform our armed forces, strengthen alliances, invest in the technology, and that is changing warfare and back British industry, bringing back British industry to make defence an engine for growth. This new area for defence required further investment through the Defence Investment Plan. The excellent and extensive cross-government work that completely in January, overseen by you, me, and the Chancellor, confirmed the scale of the challenge and the rise in demands on defence. Since then, you've been unable, and the Treasury has been unwilling to commit the resources that the nation needs to defend the country at this time of rising threats. That's not good. Since then, the demands on defence have increased still further as the UK commitments you have rightly made to allies conflict in the Middle East, with the UK now leading the multinational Strait of Hormuz military mission, high North security, with the UK now leading NATO's Arctic Sentry mission, increased Russian activity towards the UK and NATO nations, and increased attacks in Ukraine, with the Paris Agreement confirming a British deployment to Ukraine after a ceasefire. We have worked to secure a defence investment plan that does two things. First, deal with the increasing operational demands on defence, and now step up to the SDR actions to meet the increasing threat. Second, set out a clear path to meet the NATO commitments. You agreed to spend 3.5 GDP in 2035, which it won't be, through the next spending review. Now let's get to the next bit. As we've regularly discussed, I'm certain that a headmark date for 3% of GDP defence in 2030 is what Britain must set. This commitment would have strong cross-party support. Other European allies are stepping up in this way. I know how hard you have worked to get to this point, and in funding the DIP, I fully recognise the strain this places on colleagues in other departments, both now as you have required spending switched into defence and in the future. I am fully grateful to those colleagues who have supported this and appreciate how difficult the choices have been. As I've outlined to you, there have been credible ways of meeting the midterm funding challenges, working multinational, and as other European nations are doing, to allow us to allow us to protect our ability to deliver the missions of our Labour government. However, your DIP financial settlement, which I was first given full on Monday afternoon this week, falls well short of what is required for defence, and the country is at a dangerous time. The extra support is backloaded when the pressure of operations and imperative to speed up readiness to fight us in the first 2 years, and it rises to just 2.68% of GDP in 2030, when we will reach 2.6 next year with the investment we are already making. You spelled out the threats last week. It's our intelligence assessment and the assessment of other countries in NATO that there could be an attack by Russia on NATO as soon as 2030. Well, that's a bit concerning. You spelled out yeah, it's a bit concerning. You know that what defence needs. You made the argument for this powerfully in your speech at the Munich Security Conference back in February. Without a DIP that meets the moment in this way, I am being forced to make decisions that would reduce the readiness of our forces and increase the risk to personnel in operations and could make the country less safe. After explaining this to you, that I would not be able to accept a DIP settlement that does not give our forces the resources they need, I now have no other option than to submit my resignation as your Defence Secretary. I wish you all the continuing strength and exceptional challenge you face as Prime Minister. So he's left. So that kind of that goes back on all of that Starmer was saying yesterday in Parliament, that, you know, everything's under control, and, you know, hello Babs for UK, Justice for Wayne, hello Jason, Stone to Bits. Yeah, let's just continue on. So that's the Defence Secretary's letter, and he's saying that it's going to be less safe in the UK.
He said that the increase amounted to 0.08% of GDP compared to the current investment plans. I mean, we knew the situation was tight, but does that level of increase surprise you, how small it is?
I was shocked that the Prime Minister was putting so little money into defence after the Strategic Defence Review last year explained that we needed about 28 billion. That was before the war in Iran started. They are spending all of their money on welfare, all of our money, I should say. This Labour government is only interested in spending money on welfare. We need to take the money out of welfare and put it into funding our defence. That is why the Defence Secretary has now resigned, because he knows that this is true.
What should the Prime Minister do now?
The Prime Minister should stop increasing welfare spending. He has got a welfare plan to 2031 where we're expected to be spending £200 billion. He does not have a defence investment plan. I asked him yesterday at Prime Minister's questions, and he pretended that he was funding the defence investment plan in the way that the armed forces require. He is not. He is putting in less than half of the minimum required, and that is why the Defence Secretary has resigned. We have a plan to put more money into defence. I have offered to work with the Prime Minister to get our country into a safer place. He is more interested in saving his job and looking after the Labour Party than putting the national interest first.
With everything else that's happened in the last month or two, is it possible that Keir Starmer can now be the person that actually sees through a meaningful defence investment, or does this speak to his own job?
Keir Starmer's premiership is falling apart. His health secretary resigned 2 weeks ago. His defence secretary has resigned at a critical time when we are facing global threats. And he is doing so because the Prime Minister is trying to please his backbenchers by putting money into welfare instead of defence. We need to start funding defence. We need to get...
So basically, the government's not putting money in defence. The Defence Secretary has said, well, this is too risky, I'm out. Doesn't sound too bloody good, does it? Considering, as I say, Starmer was in Parliament yesterday saying they're going to release the plan for what they're doing and everything's going to be okay. It doesn't sound like everything's going too well in the House of Labour. Now, the funniest thing on top of all this, and there's proof, look, my watch list, I told you I was listening to Japanese music. Told you. So that doesn't look too good for Keir Starmer, does it? It really, really doesn't. So let's see. Oh, look at this. There is anger. Smuggling gangs offering entry to the UK and flights to Dublin. Well, this sounds interesting. Let's see what this is all about. Let us all know what you think, by the way.
Peter Barnes
all of that.
is with us, political strategist and all-round insightful good bloke. How are you, Peter?
I'm all right.
That's what it says here, anyway.
It is very, very busy today.
It is.
It's just not busy
But
as well.
we'll come on to the Keir Starmer's government's falling apart around him almost by the hour as well. Just on this point of immigration.
Yeah.
Look, it's never fully gone away. We always talk about immigration in varying ways, but there were pockets of time in our life.
Great point there from Jason. Says 19th Minister to resign, and hello, so sad to see so much instability in Labour. I think it's sad, and it's on Conservatives as well. Over the last 15 years or 14 years they were in power, but something needs to be done. And again, I can't blame it all on immigration. You can't blame all of it on immigration, but it just shows you the destruction and instability that's been going on in the United Kingdom over the last couple of decades.
Times where it didn't appear to be making headlines every day. It wasn't debated all the time. But we've now reached a kind of, is it fair to say, a pivotal point?
I somewhat call it the zero sum point, because it's not that we didn't talk about it, we didn't know about it. A lot of this information, for example, was kept from the public. That's the anger. That's where that's come from, is that we were told everything is fine, don't worry about it. The next thing you know, we've got super injunctions, we've got, ministers being very casual with statistics. We don't keep some of the statistics in one simple place deliberately to make it harder to find. You then have the fact that anybody who dares pop their head above the parapet gets shot down straight away. So, it has, these issues have always been there. This anger isn't new.
Yep.
It's just now got a face, and it's now also got the facts and the statistics behind it, which make it undeniable. That's why you're seeing the other side of the argument, the kind of, everybody come on inside, has lost their minds and has doubled down on their positions because they're now having to defend themselves and they're not on the attack.
And when you get revelations, this fast track system that came in under Rishi Sunak. Now, it wasn't a secret, but it just wasn't talked about.
Yeah.
But now it's being talked about, and you see this particular case. Obviously, I know there's always a danger of putting 2 and 2 together and making 503. There are dangers, but there are some irredeemables on this. This system was clearly responsible for allowing lots of people. We don't have the numbers
exactly
to just hop over a border. No one really.
But they're not doing anything about it. We're going to be having this same conversation in another 6 months when it continues to happen and another incident happens. And what I want to do now is I want to show you the response of people on the left and the mainstream media to what happened in Belfast and basically what's been going on in the UK for a very, very long time. So I'm just going to show you some response from some people just to show you just how out of touch some of these people truly are. Anyone bought soap with them? You're funny. Right, my very own favourite jihadist now. This is Rashan of Five Pillars of Islam in the United Kingdom, a journalist. He says, the racist violence in Northern Ireland is not a reaction to the attempted killing of a white man by a suspected Sudanese migrant. It has been planned and organised for years by far-right organisations with links to far-right actors in England and elsewhere. In a nutshell, white unionists in Protestant areas are being radicalised to hate Muslims and immigrants in a systemic way. Muslims make up less than 1% of Northern Ireland's population, but they have been presented as a threat and are being accused of taking over. Where have you heard this before? I'd say everywhere else that Muslims go and commit atrocities, I would say. I've said this to many people. When you have people like this playing the victim, there was only a couple of people that were. How many people involved in 9/11? Six people, 6 people. How many people were involved in the train bombing in London? Was it a couple? 1 or 2, 3? How many people involved in the Manchester Arena bombing? Was it 2 or 3 people? So when you're talking about percentage like poor us, poor little Islamic jihadists, I don't feel any sympathy. I genuinely don't feel any sympathy. And the uprising in Belfast isn't because of one incident. And this is how it's tried to play off. I've seen a lot of these comments, which I will show you, with people like this, Islamic jihad supporters, anti-white, anti-British scumbags like Rashan, are playing the victim. This is the same man, as I said, we showed last week, this is the very same man who criticised Sadiq Khan. I'm not a fan of him. None of you guys really are a fan of him. This is the same man that criticised Sadiq Khan for posting something in support of gay people in Pride. To me, it's a free country. You can do what you like. But he's the mayor of London and he's supposed to represent everyone. So realistically, that's one of the few things that Sadiq Khan got right. And this man said he said that the mayor needs to pick a side, Islam or being the mayor. He cannot do both. So why is this man allowed in the United Kingdom? These people are telling you what they want. They're telling you what they want in this country. Now, you could argue and say this isn't everyone that's a Muslim. Does it make me Islamophobic? Perhaps. And is it getting more aggressive in my thought process? Perhaps. Because I think for too long, we've seen these things happening and not enough people from the community speak out, this particular community speak out against it. Instead, they try to blame everyone else. Now, I don't condone the violence that's happened in Northern Ireland, and I don't think anyone does. Can you understand why people are violent? Why people are angry? Yeah, because like I just mentioned, it's not about the beheading. It's not about the one incident. It's about a continuous track, one after the other. I'm surprised we've not seen another story today, something else somewhere else. And it's a culmination of all of these things, which me and Ben mentioned last night. You know, I've never forgotten the incident with the train up London, because I was on a train going up London at the time to work. I was working up London, so I was on one of the trains on the District line. So if I would got on a train 3 or 4 trains before, I would have probably been in that bomb. No, thank you. I haven't forgotten that. I'm pretty sure the parents of what happened in Southport haven't forgotten that. It's everything. We mentioned last night what happened in Australia, Bondi Beach. People are not going to forget. And it's not blaming everyone within that same community, but it seems to be always from the same community where we're seeing these sorts of things. So it's not hatred to call out what we're seeing and wanting it to stop. Here we go. Liam Holman says, Lee Rigby's family didn't want his death to be used to divide people. Henry Novak's family didn't want his death to be used to divide people. Stephen Ogilvy's family didn't want his attack to be used to divide, but the far-right patriots always disrespect their wishes. No mention there of Stephen Lawrence, where people went crazy. No mention of George Floyd, where the BLM riots started because of it. None of that. Well, their families, black families, didn't want the riots, but it happened. And billions of pounds worth of damage because of the Black Lives Matter riots. No one says anything then. So, Liam, sorry, mate. You're talking out your bum. Next one, Liz Kendall. For those who use social media to incite violence and disorder are breaking the law. Next week, we will lay out in Parliament an update to the Online Safety Act. So they're getting even stricter with the Online Safety Act. So basically what that means is those who use social media to incite violence, well, they're going to try and push what Farage said. You should be hateful or you should be enraged by what's happening. That's not inciting violence. It's just saying how people should feel, because look at what's going on in the country. You know, it's bizarre how these people behave. It really is. Right, let's see. What else have we got? What else have we got? I wanted to share this with you guys. Now, this I've paused. It's about a guy living in England where he's obviously a Muslim guy and he comes out to his parents as gay. So let's see. I saw a clip and I was like, oh, this would be good for the show. So let's see what happened.
Okay, so the truth is that I'm gay and I like boys.
Really?
Yeah. Why are you pulling that face?
Oh my god, Jaffer.
What?
Oh.
What? Don't make me upset. Now you're gonna make me upset.
I am very upset about it.
Why? Why?
I am very upset.
Now you've made me upset. Yeah, but anyway.
I can't accept this.
You
Right.
have to.
Right, so this is a Muslim. Yeah, well, she didn't get. I know. I could mock him. Oh, darling. Oh, mummy, I'm gay. Like, who? You know what I mean? Who cares? Good for him. Like, if he's gay and whatever makes him happy, mate. I don't care. But what did you think was going to happen? What did you think was going to happen, and why would you film this for social media? Maybe it's a good thing to show how people are treated. Maybe.
Okay, so the truth is that I'm gay and I like boys.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah. Why are you pulling that face?
Oh my god, Jaffer.
What?
Oh.
What? Don't make me upset. Now you're gonna make me upset.
I am very upset about it.
Why? Why?
I am very upset.
Now you've made me upset. Yeah, but anyway.
I can't accept this.
You have to.
I can't, Jaffer.
Why?
It's not right.
Yeah, but it's not my choice. You can't control it. Like, you can't control it. That's just how I feel. And, like, I knew that for, like, the past 20 years. And I knew that, like,
And again, what's sad, Gav is gay, we all accept him kind of. No, I'm bisexual. But you cannot control. Again, there's going to be people out here that disagree with this. This isn't about being gay, but this shows you that people won't be accepted, you know? And this comes back to what I was saying with 5 pillars of Islam, saying it's anti-Muslim to be gay. Now you know what they do to gay people in these communities.
I liked boys. And I knew you didn't like
It's just
that.
extravagant.
Yeah, but I can't accept this.
But what am I meant to do? Now you're going to make me upset. What?
And then she's probably going to throw him out and disown him. See? That's really, really sad. That's really, really sad. And it's all about how she will look in front of the community, and the community won't accept her and blacklist her, you know? It's he's greedy, you silly sausage. Right. You cannot say that Nigel Farage isn't an absolute masterclass at dealing with the press. Okay, let's see what happened here. Goes on and on.
Thank you, Mr. Farage.
Welcome to England.
The family of the victim of the shocking attack in Belfast has said today, we have many migrants who make a deeply valuable contribution to our country. We do not want this terrible tragedy to divide people and fuel hostility. How are you reflecting on that in how you respond, particularly in light of the controversy around your response to the horrific Henry Novak case?
Thank you, Rex.
And when it comes to Makerfield, Restore are doing well here, and it could really help. It could really hurt.
Oh, that's going to get his back up.
You. What's Rupert Lowe got that's appealing to some people over you? Thank you very much.
Elon Musk, thank you.
That's a bit of a cop-out answer, Mr. Farage, saying the Elon Musk thing, because Elon Musk is supporting Restore Britain. Because don't you guys recall about 18 months ago, Musk was very much so in support of Nigel Farage and Reform. And then Farage done some dodgy dealings and dodgy things, and people have started to sort of rebel against Reform. And his answer there was very, very politician-esque. It was very sort of, well, he's got Elon Musk. That's the sort of thing you'd think from Keir Starmer. That's a bit of a disappointing response.
What's Rupert Lowe got that it's appealing to some people over you? Thank you very much.
Elon Musk, thank you. Most people here who say Restore, and by the way, it's not a very big percentage.
This is really pathetic from Farage. Sorry, this is really pathetic.
Here who say Restore, and by the way, it's not a very big...
Because this is the same rhetoric and the same language and attacks that the Conservative Party and everyone else was doing to stop Reform from gaining traction. Now he's doing it to someone who is in his party that he removed due to a lie that Farage put out there, you know? So that doesn't, for everyone who knows about what happened with Rupert Lowe, this doesn't look good to me. It does not look good the way he's behaving.
Percentage. Most people here would not recognise a photograph of him. Right? This is stuff that pops up on their phones. That has been the problem with it. I do not believe for a moment it will last. And look, whatever the family said in Belfast, the fact is things kicked off in Belfast last night in a very, very big way. And things will continue to kick off.
I agree with that. It will, because it's not just about, that's what I'm saying, it's not just about one thing, it's about what's going on around the whole of the country.
And I'm very open about the fact there were some very bad actors get involved in this stuff, but not the vast majority. The vast majority are fearful. The vast majority want action. They actually want something done to make their streets safer. And nothing is being proposed. It wasn't by the last government. It's not by this government. And I think the worry is over the course of the summer. And it seems there's not even a week that goes by now where we don't read of some horrific mass sexual assault.
Agreed. And Ben in chat says, hang on, Farage was all for Elon. That's exactly my point. Lowe is all common sense in calling out people for their corruption and has done more than most politicians ever have.
Or something like that that has been committed by somebody who just should not be in Britain. I think the fear is this stuff gets worse. Unless you give people hope, this stuff will get worse.
Yeah.
And as for the controversy, so-called controversy over my comments, I don't think telling the truth is controversial. It shouldn't be. How can the Prime Minister say there's no two-tier policing? Just read the reports. Just read the instructions. Just look at what has happened downstream from the so-called Equality Act. And I've had so many emails from serving and former police officers.
Hi, Gary.
Telling me they're living in an atmosphere of fear.
Robbie.
Because, what happened
AJ.
in Southampton, of course, was that the murderer's brother rang the police and said there'd been a racist attack. And so the police went there with that uppermost in their minds. And had there been a complaint against the police, that an accusation of...
Chat, everyone in chat, do you think that, say the case with Henry Novak, if the kid had been non-white, do you think the treatment of him would have been the same by the police in that video? Do you think we would have seen different treatment? I believe so. Let me know what you all think.
Racism had not been taken seriously, they'd probably be suspended on the spot. It's almost the biggest fear of police officers now, is this is what you get accused of, and you police to that, and you're actually instructed not to police everybody the same, to police different racial groups differently. Well, I'm really sorry. If Westminster is blinded to the sheer stupidity and division that this is causing, then I can't do much about it. What I can do is make the argument that I genuinely believe is supported by the vast majority of common sense, decent, law-abiding people in this country. We've got to wake up to this, and you know what? We will. Thank you very much.
What do you think is going to happen with all of this? You know, where does it all end? Because it's only going to end in more destruction, which I don't want to say. I don't want to sit here and just be negative. I'd rather be sitting here telling you a story of how wonderful the country's going, but it clearly isn't. It clearly isn't. Right, this next one, it says Looney left meltdown, MPs vote to bin Supreme Court trans guidance. So this was a couple of days ago, but it's something that I wanted to cover. So let's see what you guys feel. 100,000% treated differently. Will people be treated differently? But they shouldn't treat us differently. We all should be treated the same, says Rex. Yep, I agree with you. Carol says, yes, treated differently. Absolutely, 100%. So, you know.
We're going to get straight into it because we've all had enough of Kai. Yes. Renee, take it away.
Well, Kai's going to love this one as well. After the Supreme Court ruled that only women
Oh, here we go.
women, biology actually...
So this is going to be another argument and debate on trans ideology, and does biology count?
matters. Labour finally published the trans guidance. You know, blokes with male bits stay out of women's spaces. It's as simple as that, groundbreaking. But wait, the loony left can't cope. They're in meltdown. Hard left Corbynista Nadia Whittome has tabled an early day motion to bin the whole thing. Signed by 70 deranged MPs, 33 of them Labour, 29 of them Lib Dems. The usual rainbow suspects on the end. Who would have known? Whittome whines on that it's a profound rollback of rights and demands more laws that force men into women's spaces. Let that sink in.
I don't know why we're still having this conversation about this. Women deserve their own space.
These clowns want to screw over 51 of the population, actual women, to pander to what they say is a minute 0.5% of confused men in dresses who demand access to our toilets, our changing rooms and our sports. Newsflash MPs, you represent constituents, not the pronouns brigade. This isn't just rude, it's an insult, it's dangerous, it's an attempt to dismantle a century of hard-won women's rights. The madness isn't dead, sadly. It's throwing another tantrum.
I mean, the way it's going to look is if it goes that we've got equality, that men can become women, women can become men, then it will get to the stage where your children, your little girls will go to school in PE and you'll have biological men in the changing rooms with these little girls. I do not want that. I do not want that. I don't think any of you do either.
Wow. Well.
No one, lots of I won. Should we go on?
That was just very short.
Do you not think, Kai, do you not think that it's absolutely wrong of our elected MPs to be actively working against 51% of their constituents? Because that is what they're doing.
I don't think that is what they're doing, Dr. Renee. I don't think that having issues with this guidance, which, you know, has come out finally and gives at least some basis for us to have this discussion about what practical steps can be taken out of the Supreme Court guidance. But I don't think it's wrong of them to want to have a discussion around whether those steps are proportionate, are the right ones, make the right provisions without putting women at risk. And nobody wants to put women at risk, I don't think, of the MPs in our parliament, but do want to ensure that trans people are afforded the kind of dignity that, frankly, they had more of before.
And then the funniest thing about Nadia Whittome is this is the woman who is pro-Palestine, right? Free Palestine. But for people that want free England, for England to be British, she's against. She's a Muslim woman, so she's against gay people, but she's pushing for trans people to have spaces in women's bathrooms, even though she's against it. Like, the whole thing is, it's just a complete contradiction. The whole
this
thing.
whole debate about toilets kicked off. The ruling itself, the guidance itself says it's very unlikely to be proportionate to put a trans person in a position where there's no service they're allowed to use safely. And the chair herself of the EHRC has said we have to have a common sense approach because, nobody previously was policing who can go into toilets.
But you didn't have to because people...
No, you didn't have to because you know what a man is and you know what a woman is. Someone with a beard like me walks into a woman's bathroom and says I'm a woman. Well...
did what they were meant to do. Can I give you a ridiculous situation and ask you to justify it to me?
Fine.
Hampstead ponds. There's a man's pond, there's a mixed pond, and there's a woman's pond that can now be used by men as well. Justify that to me. Justify to me why the trans people can't use the mixed pond.
We're living in a time of...
That's fair enough. Yeah, mixed. Yeah. But again, it comes down to funding and money because the whole argument I've got for all of this, I don't know what the answer is for the trans community and people like this, but...
well, I don't think they...
I don't know what the answer is because I don't want to be discriminating against people because people are how they are. I don't care how, you know what I mean? If you want to be Batman, that's up to you, mate. I think the problem is we've got 1 million restaurants in the United Kingdom. Does that mean every single restaurant's got to put a brand new toilet in and install it for the 1% that, less than 1% that might attend your restaurant in a year? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I don't know what the answer is.
I think really broadly, if, for instance, a trans woman has gone through the medical procedure or is partway through it, considering the fact that there's huge delays to gender-affirming surgery, as we know.
There shouldn't be gender-affirming surgery.
Well, that's a view. Considering that there is delays, and so people are by and large much earlier on that journey, I think there should be some way that people who identify as trans women could be able to use the women's pond.
No, they shouldn't be allowed.
Because trans women are often, more at risk of being abused or of violence.
But I don't. In the nicest way possible. In the nicest way possible, it's not women's problem. If I was to become a woman, it's not a woman's. My own direction in life and what I am and the path that I take, that's not a woman's problem. A woman's safety is my problem. I'm a man. So if I was to become you can't become a biological woman. It's impossible. But if I was to put on a dress and say that I'm trans and impose that onto a woman, it's imposing onto a woman. You must accept me. You must allow me in your changing rooms. No, I'm still biologically a man. I'm biologically a man. You can't change that. That's not being horrible. It's stating as it is. Now, there's loads of people in the community that are transgender. You've got, let's look at some famous ones. The one who I fancy a little bit, I do fancy a bit, Blair White, who's an American. I think Blair White's a bit gorgeous, to be honest, and it's a dude. But Blair White's an attractive trans woman, is an attractive person. You've got Caitlyn Jenner, the dad, who was the athlete, the Kardashian one, the guy. That's the most famous one I know. And I've seen interviews with him, her, however you want to, announce it. And that particular person, Caitlyn Jenner now, was Bruce Jenner, that was it, was Bruce Jenner, now Caitlyn Jenner, would go, I will do what, if I'm in a function, I will go with what people are happy with. If they want me to go to this one, I'll go to, cool, like no problem. That's how it should be. It shouldn't be a thing where that person has to impose it on someone else.
If they're using facilities with people who, at least visually or partly visually, aesthetically, look different.
Gavinina.
This is where these arguments, this is what Will just said, completely fall apart. Because what you've just said is that because they look like women, they might be at risk in the mixed pond. But actually they're men, and I don't care where they are. Almost no men, about 95% of them never have surgery, by the way. Why do the women in the women's pond not justify your concern for their safety? Why?
Sorry, well, I obviously do, but I don't think that. I think I fundamentally disagree that a trans woman is a huge risk to women's safety.
That's really, really pathetic thing to say, that it's not a risk to women's safety because it's a biological man. It doesn't matter how you look at it. They may be lovely people. They may be, 99% of these people may be lovely people, but you should still not be putting women at risk. You shouldn't still be putting people at risk. It's this inclusive thing that we've got in this country of this politics that it's the same thing that's led us to the discussion around the Kirpan knife. We're trying to accommodate everyone and tick everyone's single boxes, and everyone that gets left out is people that live a Western way of life, a Western way of our culture. English people cannot carry a knife. Sikh people can carry a knife. Men and women have their own bathrooms. Now transgenders want to say, no, you need to all change your culture and your way of life. You all need to change to suit this less than 1%. We're bending the knee way too much in this country. Way too much in this country. I don't even mean this to sound horrible. I don't mean this to sound disrespectful. But as far as I know, every concert hall, like Wembley Stadium, Wembley Arena, the O2, Hammersmith, most restaurants, airports, you have men's, women, and you have like the changing rooms for babies' changing rooms, the disabled toilets, the bigger toilets. That could be used for the transgender people because it's a different thing. It's not men, it's not women, it's for either a disabled person or a different, other. Use those bathrooms. I don't believe that you should be able to force women to accept biological men in their space. I do not think that that's right.
I think there are always men who will try to use any excuse that they can to put women's safety at risk. And I don't think this goes any further to stop it.
What if a woman in a woman's changing room doesn't want to change in front of someone who under their dress is a man? What about that woman? Well, where are her rights?
Well, I think that matters. And I think that what this that does matter. And what I think this guidance hopefully begins to solve is how you can ensure that nobody feels unsafe. But there are still facilities where, for instance, toilets, right? Ideal, it'd be great if there was just cubicles, like there are here in GB News, where you can go to whichever cubicle you want.
No, but I don't agree with that either. I don't believe that men, it's still a private thing, isn't it? It's still a private thing because if, for example, I was a predator towards women and there's a cubicle in a workspace in a building, let's just say it's in Canary Wharf in London, working in Barclays Bank, and you've got 50 floors, and you've got a unisex bathroom, and I'm watching a woman that I like, and I'm a creep, then I know when she's in there and no one else has been in there, I know that I can physically go in there and assault her, and it's going to be her word against mine. That should not be allowed. The minute I walk into that bathroom with a woman's spot on where she is, that's personal. That's personal. And I don't think that should ever be changed.
Perfectly safe in there.
But that is separated. Yeah. It's men and women.
Yeah, but there's no functional difference. But there's no functional difference between them, Darren.
No, John Pollock, but I like to use these things and put myself in the firing line because it doesn't really matter. If you want to sort of manipulate that because it's social media and I'm on here doing this, John Pollock, then if you were a pedophile, yeah, great, you're so smart, mate.
That was just because there was some ridiculous drive to spend...
There are sanitary products.
There are sanitary products in the women's.
Right, and did anybody notice when I used the women's toilets in there the other day?
Well, no, but I...
Because obviously they're just in the same room. But anyway,
this is the left, and there was a brilliant article in Labour Heartlands actually last week about you are trying to keep us focused on toilets deliberately.
No, but it's how people are on social media, John, isn't it? It's how people get.
So that you can say, look, come on, you're being unreasonable, there's cubicles, you're being nasty, just let the trans women...
I'd feel uncomfortable. I would feel uncomfortable if I walked into a bathroom and I see two ladies in there. I can imagine it even being worse. Imagine me walking into a bathroom and two schoolgirls go in there. And there's two little schoolgirls going in there, and I'm going to walk in and go to the toilet and there's two little girls there and I know her parents are outside. I would feel very, very uncomfortable with that. There's not many things that I feel uncomfortable. I'm like, I shouldn't bloody be in here. Like, I shouldn't be in here. This isn't right. Like, the parents, it shouldn't even be in a position of a parent thinking, there's a dude in there with a beard, I better keep an eye out. That conversation shouldn't even exist. And we're creating that. We're creating that problem for parents. And it shouldn't exist.
In toilets. It's not about toilets. This is about the underlying, behind the toilets, ignore that, the underlying erasure of women and women's rights. We're not allowed to call ourselves mothers or women when it comes to pregnancy anymore. We are pregnant people. We are chest feeders.
No, you are. You're women. You're pregnant women. It's not pregnant people. You're pregnant women. There's no such thing as a pregnant person. That doesn't exist. doesn't exist. It's a woman. Only a woman can give birth. Men cannot give birth. It's impossible.
We have cervixes instead of being called women for a smear. That is the invasion of women.
Yeah, and I don't think that's right. But I think, you know, actually, I think that there has to be a way to safeguard both the safety, but also, to your point, the dignity of women who are born
I just want to... I've been desperate to make...
I know he's trying to play. I don't think he's a bad-hearted person, this guy. I don't agree with him, but I don't think he's a bad-hearted person. I think he's doing what I do, where he's trying to say, look, I agree that women need to have the thing, but I'm not going to shut the door on everyone else who's in that community, because there's still people. Like, I don't have to agree with someone being transgender. I think if you're going to go and get your nuts chopped off, I think you're crazy. I would say it takes a lot of balls, but then you don't have any, do you? But I do feel sympathy for that. There are the cases where I do believe people are like that. Like I said, Blair White, Caitlyn Jenner, people that want to come out and do that. Like, if that's how they are, that's how they are. There was the boxing promoter that's like that. Whatever, man. If it makes them happy, it makes them happy. As long as it doesn't impose that you have to change your way of life to suit me. I don't care what anyone is. As I say, you could have a new thing where someone comes out as a flipping comic book character and all of a sudden I'm Batman. Okay, I'm Batman. You have to accept me that I'm Batman. Okay, mate, you're Batman. It doesn't affect me. It does not have any effect on my life whatsoever. Someone being gay or lesbian has absolutely no impact on my life. If you want to be a dude that's with dudes, mate, you're happy, I'm happy. Good for you, mate. But it doesn't mean that two gay men have got to come into my bedroom and have sex in front of me, does it? No. They do it in their own place and mind their own business. No one's got a problem with it. But if you're trying to impose that biological men can go and undress in front of biological women, no.
This point, desperate to make this point, so I am going to abuse the position of chair. The progressive left, right, Kai, which you purport to be, have been for a long time championing the rights of women, right? The women, female progress, and the trade unions in the fire brigade service have pandered to the trans debate. So since what, 1970, we've allowed women into the fire service, right, to be firewomen or, well, firemen, I guess they just call them firefighters, yeah, whatever you want to call yourself. Fire they them, maybe. But they've been allowed in. Now, their rights and their access to single-sex spaces when they get changed or whatever else are being eroded by a trade union that's suggesting that it'll be a good thing if they allow men to get changed in there with them. You can see where the progress that's being made as far as female safety is concerned is being eroded by, frankly, nefarious men who want to access women's spaces.
I just do not believe that is anything to do with the trans debate.
Well, it is, because we saw it in Scotland, wasn't it, last year, where someone who was a man, a biological man, become a woman. They, as a man, sexually assaulted women. So as a biological man, assaulted women. When they was arrested, they said, I'm transgender, then went to court dressed as a woman and was put in a female prison. And they put them in a women's prison. So a man who assaults women, dressed up as a woman, said they were trans. Great. You've literally just given them a gold mine of assault, and it was resolved and the person was removed. But that's how crazy this is getting. And the one that I always go back to, when you have this debate about men and women, and I know this is a bit disrespectful for those that are transgender, but this is genuinely how I look at it in an everyday issue and in an everyday life. Hypothetical once again. Let's say that I'm a transgender person and I put on a dress, but I keep my beard, right? And I have breast implants. So you see breasts. And then society changes and accepts me as that. That's a woman. This person here with a beard, it's a woman, right? I go and rob somewhere, right? Assault someone and rob somewhere. And I run out down the road and I run along. And then the police are chasing me and they say the bank's been robbed and it was done by a woman. Most people that visually look at me and I've got a coat on, whether I've got breast implants or whatever, is going to see a man with a beard. And they say, it's that transgender. It's a woman. They're going to walk up and go, which way did they go? They go, well, I don't know, because was that a man? Was that a woman? I don't know. I don't know. Crimes can be committed. Look at a passport. The crime was committed by a biological man, but my passport now says that I'm a woman, so it couldn't have been me. Look, it says it there. We've changed it. I'm a woman now, so it couldn't have been me. You see what I mean? It opens the door to so many problems.
I'll be honest. I think you are confusing, perhaps on purpose, two things: that men will take any advantage they can to rape and violently abuse women, and the idea.
Oh, it is the perfect disguise, MSS.
Yeah, letting trans people access a small minority of people to access services that conform with how they want to be seen.
Claire, I don't actually know. Since supposed to be moved to a male prison, that's it. The goat. Yeah, do you remember it, don't you? Can everyone say happy birthday to Spartan in chat? It's Spartan, one of the viewers who's always with us. It's Spartan's birthday today. So happy birthday to Spartan. Happy birthday. This is Sparta. So happy birthday to you.
How they
I want to be seen as a teenager. Do you think they'll let me in the school sports?
But Renee, do you not accept that you can take any measures to protect women as much as you can, and maybe that would make fine. Even if we go as far as possible, make it as hostile as possible for trans people, don't accept that they exist, whatever, and still women would be raped in toilets, men, and in same-sex spaces.
This is the straw man gaslighting argument because.
But is it?
Yes, and this is why. Well, let me tell you why. We know that most violence against women is perpetrated by men, but very few men. Not all men are rapists. I would assume most of you here are not rapists, but we don't know if that's 100% true. So what do? We keep out of our spaces. Trans women are men. We must keep them out of our spaces. It's as simple as that.
Do you have any basis where you would be okay if trans
not in my space
actually sharing space with women?
No. Like, how can you even be asking this question? I don't understand how any biological man can be okay with that, especially if you've got children. I don't have children. I'll say it, I love kids. I do. I love kids. And in this day and age, saying that kind of thing makes people go, oh, a man can't say that he loves children. Children and pets and animals, I've said it a million times, are one of the most purest things on planet Earth that we need to protect at any given cost. The effects and damages that you can do to an animal and the effects that you can do to a child are irreversible in life. So to me, anything that you can do to protect my thing's little girls. I like little boys. I think men are a bit more, we're accepting of the cold brutality and harsh world that it is. And young boys, you're always taught that the world is a fucking horrible place. We deal with bullies. We deal with that's life when men grow up. Ben went in the army. He's probably seen some shit none of us want to see. So I wouldn't want that on women. That's if a woman wants to make that choice, that's up to her. But I wouldn't want that on women. It's a man's prerogative and nature to be protective of women. We're born that way. It's not a choice. It's not something I can just turn off like a light switch. So to me, under any circumstances, whether it's a little white girl or a little black girl, I do not want men in their space. I do not want strange men in their space. I do not care. You've got to protect their innocence and protect everything about them with every ounce of oxygen in your body. Now, that's not to attack those people. Of course not. But I still don't think you should impose that on women. No.
Any basis where you would be okay if trans
not in my
women
space
actually sharing space with women?
No.
Ever? You deem them such a threat that you would say never.
It's not about the threat. It's about the rule. We keep men.
I think the problem is Claire. Claire says there in chat, she says, what about trans men going into men's bathrooms? Well, it doesn't really matter so much because if a biological woman goes into a man's bathroom, men are going to take the piss out of you. If a woman walks in I'm trying to say it's a woman becoming a man. Yeah, so someone that looks like a guy but isn't a guy, men will just laugh and that person just wouldn't feel comfortable because that's just how men are. I wouldn't want that. But it's not the case of a biological woman going in a space and assaulting men. It's not really going to happen to the extent of it the other way around. It's biological men that majority assault women, biological females. So I wouldn't feel as threatened of that happening because I don't think a woman is going to come in and grab my nuts. I just don't think it's happening. To be honest, it's been so bloody long. I wouldn't say no. But jokes aside, I don't see that as much of a threat. I don't think I can recall a time where I've seen a trans man arrested for that. It may happen, but I don't recall of a major thing that's happened where it's been someone who was a biological woman becoming a man and assaulting men. I don't recall a case of that because, as I say, it's predominantly men.
Such a threat that you would say never.
threat. It's about the rule. We keep men out of women's spaces for a
They
reason.
don't see
Why
themselves
should
as men,
my
they're trans
daughter-
women.
I don't care. I don't care if you. Comes down to feelings again. This guy here is a bit of an idiot. This guy's a bit of an idiot. They see themselves as this. That's what I'm saying again. So if I could, let's go with the logic then. If we apply the logic of the liberal left and say that anyone can be what they want to be, right? We know that I am a biological man. Hi, fellas. I'm a biological man. If by his own logic, he's saying that I can be a woman. So tomorrow I can wake up and say, right, today, from now on, I'm a woman. Look at me, but I'm a woman. You have to accept me as a woman. That's something that I'm going to have to deal with, right? If society deems that as normal, that you can just be something else like that, you can change your sex, right? Why can't I change my race? What is the difference? Because it's something that isn't true, isn't it? I'm a biological man. Even if I was and did have gender dysphoria, which I believe does exist, it is something that exists, but it's such a 0.006% of the world. It's such a small thing, or people that are born with 2 genitalia. It's such a small percentage where we've never really had the discussion. If it happens, I think it's tragic that someone's got to go through that mentally and physically. I think it's bloody sad if you're born that way. I think it's really, really sad. Now, if we accept it as the norm that everyone has to apply to that rule, then surely if reality does not count, because reality states that I'm a biological man, reality states that my DNA and chromosomes are different to that of a biological female. If we're saying that doesn't matter, none of that matters, yeah? Facts do not matter. Why can't I be black? What is the difference? Because that's not true. You can look at my skin. Look at me. I'm milky white. Look, milky white. But I'm not. I'm black. I'm black. So if I'm black, does that mean this gentleman, I would love to ask him on air and say, okay, I'm black and you're white. Because if we're saying that nothing matters, why can't we just change then? Because if he accepts that, that shows you just how crazy this discussion is. Because they'd be forced into a corner where they have to agree. Yes, you can be black. They have to agree, because you can't say, well, I'll discriminate against you. No, well, that's discrimination then, because I feel like I'm black. That's the path that we're going down. And then there'll be some people that would say, hang on, I think you're being stupid, Gav. You're going too far with this. You're going stupid. 20 years ago, we wouldn't have been having this conversation. It's like MSS says in chat, transvestites. There's always been transgender people. There's always been people that dressed up, cross-dressing. It's always been a thing. There was a famous director in Hollywood, Ed Wood, and there was a movie with Johnny Depp, one of my favourite films he ever done, actually. He was the B-movie horror director. There's always been transvestites. So what? Like, you do what you got to do. But they didn't impose it on people. You didn't impose it and say, right, you now have to let me in your space. No one else. That's what the problem is. The problem isn't that you are that way. The problem is that everyone else has to change to accept you. So in other words, you're going to see people like me going up London with our video cameras and going up to people, and I'll say, right, what colour am I? And they go, you're white. And I say, well, you're racist. You're racist. No, I'm black. That's how the fact that I'm even saying that and how stupid that is. You think I'm nuts? Give it 5 years and come and watch this video again. I'm telling you, that's going to be next.
See themselves as. What if you saw yourself as a disabled athlete? Do you think they'd let you run in the Paralympics?
If you see yourself as tomato, I'm not going to let you in my fruit bowl.
Why is it different? Tell me why it's different.
It's just so different.
Tell me why it's
There'll
different.
be lots of women who don't mind sharing their space with trans women.
No, you're changing the subject.
Yeah, but it's not. It's just different.
Tell me why it's different.
Because most trans women are causing no harm whatsoever to biological women.
So you being in the Paralympics might not cause anyone harm, and you might feel much better about it. Why is it different?
Because I would not be able to pass whatever rigorous things I would need to pass in order to be serious.
And the other part, she's just nailed something as well. This was about 4 or 5 years ago. Do you remember when Jordan Peterson, science professor, whatever he was, the Professor Jordan Peterson, when all of this became a thing with him, and he was outside the universities, UCLA, and the transgender community attacked Jordan Peterson, which is how he became famous in the first place, because he said the same thing. If you're transgender, that's your thing. You cannot impose me that I need to think the same way as you. If you feel that way and that's how you're born and you believe that, that is on you. You do not have the right to come into my space and tell me that I need to think the same as you, because we're free thinking. Humans are free thinking. We think how we think. No one's going to think the same way. None of you are going to think the same. We've all got different ways that we deal with things. So what happens then if it does get accepted? This is another reason. Why on earth can't men just say that I'm a woman and become an NBA player? Because you could have a team full of biological men that say they're transgender, join the NBA or the football, and they would wipe out all of the teams. They'd wipe out all of the teams. Do it with the World Cup. The female England football team, get biological men to say that they're women and get 11 biological men in there. Just grow your hair, say you're a woman. Okay. They would win every game 10-15-0. And you go, well, that's not fair. We saw it with the boxing at the last Olympics when was it from Albania or Kazakhstan or wherever it was from, where the biological man was in the boxing. And I remember watching it and I'm like, I don't know if this person is a man or a woman. And it was the semi-finals of the Olympics. And who were they against? It was like Japan or someone like that. And the biological man, hit the person once or twice in round one. And the trainer went, fuck that. No way. Because that biological woman would have, well, I wouldn't say she would have got brain damage, but this person was hitting as a biological man. And then you can say, well, okay, we've got to accept that person and say, well, that's a woman. If I hit a woman and a woman hits me, I'm going to hit harder. And I'm not a strong bloke. Look at me. I'm flimsy. I'm a bitch. But if I physically hit a woman, I'm going to hurt a woman. It isn't a matter of what you feel. Biology doesn't. You can't change biology.
But Renee, those kinds of debates have already been settled by sporting bodies, and like for instance, this guidance also has different provision for single-sex spaces where it really matters on the basis of sex that facilities are provided.
Well, they haven't been settled.
No, they are.
No,
they are.
If I want to identify as a disabled person and go in the Paralympics, that is not a debate that has been had or settled. This is where these arguments about some trans women really feel like women. What is the difference with me really feeling like a disabled person?
Great one there from Way Rude, quoting from the movie with Brad Pitt. What was that? Fight Club. Listen to this. Sticking feathers up your bottom doesn't make you a chicken. Tyler Durden. Exactly.
It's a feeling. It is nothing more than a feeling.
Okay.
It's an operational decision, yes or no?
Yeah. So that's Sadiq Khan remanded for snapping at female MPs. Oh, this will be interesting. Yeah, we'll finish off on this one, boys and girls. But let's just see some of your comments. I think it's part of a massive psyop, so they can tell you the sky's purple, and then you'll agree. Yeah, that it's like nothing matters. If you that's what it really comes down to, isn't it? If you accept that anyone can be what anyone can be, but I have to think that way, then nothing matters. Science doesn't matter. Men are boys, men are girls, cats are dogs, and the fallback argument that I can't never get my head around, and I've seen this on social media, and I expect all of you have as well. When someone says, I can't understand, one of you might be able to correct me. I can't understand the sentence, trans women, so that's a statement, trans women, so a biological man becomes a woman, a trans women are women. That doesn't make sense as a sentence. Like that sentence does not, and I've seen it so many, trans women, so biological men who are women, are biological women. So biological men are biological women. They're not. That's like, again, try and correct me if I'm wrong. A car is a bike. A football is a kettle. No, it isn't. A football, the first thing you've just said, a football is a football. A trans woman is a trans woman. That's logic. It's not hate. That's not me speaking with a voice of hate. It's speaking with a voice of logic. A trans woman is a woman. No, a trans woman is a trans woman. I don't understand that argument, and that's what it all comes back to for me. Someone could try and explain that to me, because it doesn't make sense to me.
You said it was an operational decision.
the issue of how the police use finite resources in difficult times.
Okay, shall we phrase it in the way that...
Exactly. So Wayrood says they're trying to separate biology from gender, which is the next argument. So if we move from trans women are women to biology and gender, gender is a social construct, right? So if gender is a social construct, why do you need a sex change? Why do you need to change your sex? Because that's biology. If it's gender and it's a social construct and it's nothing to do with sex, why do you need to have a sex change? It's not a gender. You don't go in and say, right, doctor, I feel like I'm a woman. Can I have a gender change? No, can I have a sex change? That's what it's called. It's a sex change operation. Man to woman, woman to man. Sex change, biology. So it still doesn't make sense.
You were struggling with before, we'll try again. Were you lying then or are you lying now today?
Well, Chair, I mean, I've answered the question
no, you
as
haven't.
I can, which is that issues in relation to the expenditure of money that go to policing are matters for which I need to take the advice and be cognizant of the advice of the Met Police Commissioner.
So you do take, so it was a
This is every woman's dream, isn't it, Sadiq Khan? What a guy.
political decision, not an operational one. It was a political decision.
The decision to free up police officer hours, officer shifts, and to free up police officers was based upon the advice given by the Commissioner, based on his expertise.
So why would you say in September it was an operational decision if it was your decision?
Out of the operation, how many choices can you have? Yes, yeah.
The decision in relation to how police resources are used are decisions for the Commissioner, who gives his advice and works with MOPAC in relation to those decisions. MOPAC and myself listen to the advice from the Commissioner when it comes to operational matters. The issue of resources, police officer resources, enabled team, officer shifts being used out in the community, based on the advice from the Commissioner to myself and the Deputy Mayor.
You make absolutely no sense when you talk. You're talking yourself in circles. It's an operational decision or it's not. You're disagreeing with something you said only a few months ago. But the thing that I'm confused about is whether this was a political decision or not. Because I was aware from the words from your mouth that this was an operational decision, which was why I was really confused when one of your Labour Assembly members put up a video encouraging you to think of him as daddy, and not in the paternal sense, by the way. I don't know if you're familiar with that. And
can we just hear that again? What? Daddy?
I was aware from the words from your mouth that this was an operational decision, which was why I was really confused when one of your Labour...
Oh, by the way, don't forget, tomorrow night, we're doing a quiz night and a games night again. We used to do this last year when I started doing the news, and we've had a bit of a hiccup due to my mental health and everything. But tomorrow night, Fridays, we normally do an event where we do the news and everything, but it's a bit more chilled, and I'll be interacting with you a lot more. So if you guys after work tomorrow night want to chill with me here, we'll probably do some news and some videos and some crime stories and stuff like that. But, you know, we'll probably do a few quizzes, have a bit of fun, and just have a bit more of a chilled vibe. So if you want to join me for that tomorrow night, that's what we're going to be doing. And if you've got any ideas, by all means, except for that game that you keep saying, Nikki,
put up a video encouraging you to think of him as daddy, and not in the paternal sense, by the way. I don't know if you're familiar with that. And saying that he was the reason that his police station stayed open.
So if I could rehearse how we got this position. So the Commissioner presented...
So were Assembly members responsible for keeping their stations open or not? Yes or no?
Let me explain this. So the Commissioner brought out a list of tough choices...
we'll do that tomorrow, Roots.
...in relation to how we're going to balance the budget. And those tough choices are based on operating...
What the Dub is a good game. I don't know what that is, but that sounds great. That, Curtis, remind me tomorrow. What the Dub.
Matters. The police has consulted and engaged with a number of...
Who are you calling daddy?
Across London, including members of the London Assembly, some excellent members of the Assembly, made powerful representations.
So are you saying that Assembly member Wemmer, who isn't here to defend herself, is a rubbish member of the Assembly? How dare you? That's incredibly rude to her. How dare you say that? We'll leave that there. I don't want to hear...
Wait a minute, what did he say?
The number of representatives across London, including members of the London Assembly, and some excellent members of the Assembly, made powerful representations.
So are you saying that Assembly member Wemmer, who isn't here to defend...
Wait.
...is responsible for keeping their stations open or not? Yes or no?
Let me explain this. So the Commissioner brought out a list of tough choices in relation to how we're going to balance the budget, and those tough choices are based on operational matters. The police service consulted and engaged with a number of representatives across London, including members of the London Assembly, and some excellent members of the Assembly, made powerful representations.
So are you saying that Assembly member Wemmer, who isn't here to defend herself, is a rubbish member of the Assembly? How dare you? That's incredibly rude to her. How dare you say that? We'll leave that there. I don't want to hear him abuse your Labour Assembly members anymore. Thank you.
Chair, I can imagine...
Yeah, go. Mr. Mayor. Right, go on.
I don't think you should say anything else rude about Assembly Member Wenmurama. She's not here to defend herself. Let's go.
Mr. Mayor, very quickly.
I can imagine when the hard-working researcher was writing this line of questioning from the member how clever she thought it was. But let me explain why it's not so clever. The list of tough choices presented by the Commissioner was just that.
Chair, I wrote that. Sorry, Mayor. I think you're being rude now. Not only to Labour Assembly members, you're being rude to GLA staff. Nobody wrote this. I wrote this. So you're being rude to me and saying that I'm not clever. He's being rude to every single person.
To the Mayor.
No, he's rude to women. He's rude to women. He belittles women every time he's there. He does this to Susan Hall of the Conservative Party. He's always done it. Don't you remember the infamous, can you explain what a grooming gang? I don't know what that is. Can you explain it to me? Well, you're a woman. You're a little bit simple. Like I joke about this, the misogynist thing. I do it all the time because women are, below men. Like I do that as a joke. That's a bit that I do for a joke. But that really is how Sadiq Khan is.
Being rude about GLA staff. He's being rude about Assembly members.
Okay.
He can be rude about Assembly members. He's being rude about staff.
On both
There's
sides,
no briefing here. So you're being rude about me. If you want to talk about intelligent, I can answer a yes or no question. Can you?
Sorry, can you ask your member just to pause
Did you just tell me to shut up then?
Can you tell the member to pause?
Yeah, you
Can
did.
you put some group discipline on this, please?
I mean, I don't blame women for reacting this way because, to be honest with you, Sadiq Khan is a worthless piece of donkey, back end of a donkey. To be honest with you, I don't really like the geezer, as you can tell. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. You know me with my timing, so it might be 7, 7:15. Might have a little nap, might not. But we'll be back tomorrow and we'll be rolling, doing some games and whatever that was you said just now, Curtis. It's a game where you see a clip from a TV or a film and a part of audio is missing, and then you add something and then pick the best one. Curtis, we'll do that tomorrow. That sounds fantastic. That sounds fat. He's an arrogant psycho, says the goat. He's vile, does it with a smirk on his face, says Freckles. I know. Discord, folks. Well, I might have a game of Ark Raiders and go on chat on Discord because I haven't played Ark Raiders in 2 hours, 3 hours. So I might go on there for a bit. But thank you so much for joining me this evening. And it was a pleasure, as always. Nice, MSS. I love you, sir. And everyone else that's joined us. And yeah, we'll see you again tomorrow. Enjoy your evening, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll see you again tomorrow. We're getting back into the flow of things, as I've been saying for ages now. But I am starting to feel a bit more myself. As you can tell in my humour, I'm less stressed out and a bit more relaxed in my tone, which is nice. So yeah, I'll see you again tomorrow. I love you all. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen.